Welcome to NGEN Markets training session. I hope I'm audible to everyone and my screen is visible. Meanwhile, while others are joining in, we shall discuss the topics we are going to, talk about today, and we are gonna show some use cases. So let's go ahead with the, with our presentation. Here, as you can see, we will be discussing about mutual fund screening and model portfolios. So today we are just going to focus on equity portfolios in the model portfolio section. And this will actually show how do you screen mutual funds, compare mutual funds, and make a model portfolio out of it. And then we will be having a Q&A session with everyone. So if you have any question, please do shoot in the chat box or verbally after the entire topic is done. So let's go ahead with the terminal. Let me just share my another screen with the terminal. Just a second, everyone. So I hope this is visible to everyone. If it is not, please let me know, and then we can, discuss it. Okay. So as we are in the terminal, as you all know, we can also, the first thing I would like to talk is that we have actually released a macroeconomic data here, historical. So you can just click on, one of the, data set and actually view the historical data and download the data in Excel. But fair enough. Let's go ahead with our important topic is screening of the mutual funds. So in the screener, to go towards screener, what you have to do is you just have to click on the funds tab and click on the screener. That's where our entire universe of all the mutual funds are underlying. And then you have to make your entire sample space a bit smaller to actually make a particular model portfolio. Let's consider a use case that we are going to take only equity funds and make it in a conservative manner, as in conservative equity mutual funds, right? So what you can do is you can select the categories. Let's say we select all the categories here, excluding all the thematics. That depends on your choice altogether. You can also include thematics, but in my case, I'm just choosing the, non-thematic ones here, right? And then you can cancel this out. And regardless of, what you want to choose, accordingly, you can take a call that what filtration of AUM would you like to choose. As of now, I'm choosing a 1500 as my minimum AUM, and I apply this up. And you can also filter the AMC. If you want, you can filter it. Let's say you do not want 5 to 10 AMCs in your analysis, you can remove them up. But as of in this today's case, we are going to take into account every single AMCs and then do the analysis, right? Now, there is one preset columns which we have given is a column called a preset column views, where you can preset it accordingly, like equity column or return column or even a risk column. So let's say my first criteria is risk. I want to reduce the risk because I'm going for a conservative equity portfolio. So I can just click on risk column and I can take into account one of the parameter so that I can choose those funds accordingly. So accordingly, what I'm going to do is I can take into account as historical value at risk. Now we have actually had a discussion as what is historical value at risk. It's a parameter which shows you that there is a 5% probability to have such a drawdown of negative 24.53 for Kotak FlexiCap. So it is in a confidence interval of 95 defaulted in the screener, not 99, not 98, but 95. This should be ensured. And you can just click on this parameter, right, to ensure that the value at risk is as low as possible. So accordingly, you can take a call that, which particular funds has to be chosen as your first criteria of the system. So accordingly, I'm just choosing some of the top funds with lowest VAR, historical VAR, and just adding them into the compare section. To add them into the compare section, all I have to do is click on add to compare, right? So this, on the basis of this, you can actually add them into the compare section, right? So I'm just adding them to show you the use case in a practical sense. And then once it is added, you can actually come into the compare section and see that these are the funds which are added into the system. Now, accordingly, I'm just going to remove this and load my composition to actually show that, how it has been added. Let me just load one of the, preset, preset list, which I had already done. So just a moment, I'm just adding the preset list. So as you can see, this is the equity portfolio conservative list I have in the system. And these are 24 funds, which I have taken into account on the basis of some parameters such as Sharpe ratio and value at risk. Now, why I have taken that is because I want to ensure that my risk adjusted return is higher and my downside risk is lower. So that's how you can choose all these funds in one tab, and then subsequently you can start your analysis. So I'm repeating this again. If you want to choose model portfolios, if you want to make a universe of multiple funds, a non-biased approach towards choosing funds, you should rather choose categories in entire domain, and filter all the AMCs, and take one or two parameters as your initial screening process. Then you can go ahead in the compare section and actually remove funds one by one, so that your universe gets smaller, and then you can actually choose top 10 or top 5 funds from that particular universe, right? So let's go ahead with the compare section. Let me just load this up again, right? So once you load this up, this will be there into the compare section here, and I'm adding my list again into this compare main list, and that's how you can add the entire list again. So just a moment. Yeah, so this is the list I have added. Then you can start your analysis. One single set of analysis can be done is that if I want to ensure that my Sharpe ratio should be greater than 0.50. And one important thing here is that this is taken into account since the inception of each funds, all the Sharpe ratio. So you can keep a minimum start date, a common period to ensure which Sharpe ratio are you going forward. So always, you can have your own start date accordingly. Let's say for the last 7 years or 5 years, you can take into account and click go. Now, accordingly, it will show that this is a custom start date, and then you can choose your, Sharpe ratio as a minimum thing, and you can remove some of them, which is having a very less Sharpe ratio from the last couple of 5 years till 7 years. So this is one criteria, and we have actually displayed here that there is a custom start date which you have used. So you can delete those funds which are not required into the system, right? And then you can go to other tabs altogether. So accordingly, let's say we have deleted some of the funds, right? And if we go into other tab, let's say into the rolling analysis, you will see, as we have all discussed rolling analysis before, rolling analysis, you can choose a methodology as absolute and simple returns, and run this with having a particular start date and an end date with a rolling window of 260. Now, what is the purpose of all this? We have added some of the funds into the fund list, and now we are trying to analyze that, which funds are greater and which funds are not that much of great based on certain parameters, is to find the top 10 conservative funds which we can actually make a portfolio of, right? Now, here in the sense, rolling analysis, if we keep it as 260, every single data point shows you the sum of previous 260 days daily returns. So it is as good as to say that, let's say I've invested every day for a period of 1 year, what would have been my data points for every single funds? And then we make an average out of it. We make as high it as possible which fund has given the highest high, or which fund has given the highest low, and which fund is having the highest positive percentage. So a positive percentage shows you that uh, you know uh, if the back test of every year is greater than 0, then the positive percentage, it will be underlying into the positive percentage. If it is lesser than 0 in negatives, then it will go. So basically you can say that Axis mid cap fund, which is shown here, is having 7.60% of the fund in negatives. You can backtest that as just by looking into the distribution. You can just type in 0 here, right? And negative, any negative points here, I'm just showing here any negative point, it doesn't matter, because we are just backtesting the negatives of the fund. So if you just type in, let's say negative, negative 200, right? This will actually show you what are the distribution between, a negative, between in the negative, domain. And you can see 7.60 is actually 7.60 data points of the fund is actually underlying in negatives. So accordingly, you can take a call. Now, in the initial process, what we had a discussion was that we are trying to look for conservative portfolios, right? A conservative, in equities, which are the funds which are actually lesser volatile. And I do not mean volatile as volatility as a standard deviation, because that can be a point to point, basis. So it might change based on the dates you choose, based on the start date. So that's why, we look into towards rolling analysis, because this gives you a better sense of volatility of any funds, and also gives you a scenario that, let's say you're investing for a 1 year period, or maybe you can choose for a 3 year period as well, just typing in 780, right? Once you have chosen this, all you have to do is you just have to check what are the least volatile fund based on rolling volatility. So accordingly, I'm just taking a call that these are the funds which are the least volatile funds, top 10, right? These are the top 10 or top 15 funds which are the least volatile funds, and I can take them into my portfolio altogether. And once you have made them as your own portfolio, you can just remove them from the fund list and then add them. So I will show you the conservative portfolio I've actually done. So just a moment, yeah, this one. So this portfolio is what I've chosen through rolling analysis. Top 15 funds with the lowest volatility is displayed into the system. These are the top 15. And accordingly, you can see this is the, which is having Axis mid cap, Axis, long term equity, and Kotak blue chip. And accordingly, you can make a portfolio out of it. To make a portfolio out of it, all you have to do is convert to the portfolio. Now, I am taking into account 15 funds because I want to reduce them based on some positional overlap as well, right? So one thing you can do is you can also choose risk versus return as a tab to check, what are the underlying, how the funds are, into the universe of risk and return chart, which funds are, highly volatile, highly risky, and which funds are, in a low risk. Accordingly, you can see, couple of Axis funds are in a lower risk. Parag Parek is in lower risk, and there we have, Mirai Asset and Motilal and, Mirai Tax Saver as a higher riskier in this universe of 15 funds, right? So that is how you see that this is going to be the composition of the portfolio going forward, right? Now here, you can actually look into positional overlap and reduce some of the funds which are highly, overlapping with each other, because this doesn't make any sense to choose Canara Robeco and Kotak Blue Chip together into my portfolio, right? If I have some tax saving benefits, I am looking for some tax saving, I would rather go for Canara. Or, vice versa, if I, look towards, more returns, or, lesser volatility, I can go for Kotak Blue Chip. So accordingly, you can take a call that which funds to be removed. To remove the funds, there are many ways. One of the way is to, look towards funds which are actually having exposures, positional overlap higher than 50, right? So you can just, choose, let's say we go for Mirai Asset Emerging Blue Chip and Mirai Asset Tax Saver, one single case scenario. And I took a basic decision making that, I would choose a fund which is having a lower volatility based on rolling analysis. So I can just go back to my rolling analysis and check which one is actually having the, you know uh, lowest volatility. So I can say here from, just by looking at it, that Mirai Asset Tax Saver is actually having the lowest volatility. So, all I have to do is I just have to come into the position overlap and, check my main list and reduce one of the fund. So it's like a decision making to, choose one of the funds into the portfolio. So, I'm just going to remove one of them here. As you know, this is a direct fund. You can definitely add a Mirai Asset Tax Saver regular. So I'm just adding this. Right. One minute. Okay. So accordingly, you can, take a call and just, choose those funds accordingly. So, you can also go for Kotak or Canara. So let's remove one of them. Let's remove, Canara Beco altogether. So I'm just removing one of them from here, right? Now, you're reducing your, portfolio, towards some funds. So, it doesn't make any sense to have like 15 to 20 funds. And you can see here, your positional overlap is also decreasing. So you can also look towards one of them, which is IDFC, Canara Beco and IDFC Flexi Cap. So which one should be removed is your call. You can look towards some parameters, maybe based on risk versus return, and then take a call that which one should you go for. So I would rather go for, if I'm looking for a lower volatility, I would go for IDFC Flexi Cap and remove Canara Beco. So it depends on your choice. If you're making a very conservative portfolio on equity, that which one should be removed, and that's how you can remove those funds and make a portfolio out of it. And one more thing to be, to be very certain is that we do have many, funds in similar category. Is it feasible to have, three Flexi Cap, whereas one Flexi Cap can solve the same thing? All we are looking towards is returns. So, having LNT Flexi Cap doesn't make any sense. You can remove it. So that's how you can make your portfolio smaller and smaller, and then you will be having 4 to 5 funds that can create value as a, model portfolio. And then, I'm just saving this all together to show, a model portfolio. So I'm converting this to the portfolio. Once this is done, it is added into the, portfolio section, which is written as from compare 45. To check that, all you have to do is go into the portfolio section here, right? And you have to search the folder from compare. So this is the folder which will be generated in your system. And here you will see this is the portfolio which we have generated. We can rename this up. We can just write as conservative model portfolio. And then we can run this portfolio. So accordingly, we can run this portfolio and do, a lot of permutation combination based on the portfolio analytics. So let me just show the portfolio analytics of this model portfolio. Yes, this all funds will be allocated equally. So I will show you a way to, to find a better allocation, which will be used as portfolio improve. But first, let's review this portfolio based on equal allocation itself. To review the portfolio, you can look into the performance and analytics, and you can definitely see that the performance against the index. So you can change the index accordingly, maybe add a custom index based on the allocations we have. And as this is the 100% equity portfolio, we are just taking into account Nifty TRI as 100%. And then you can review the portfolio as to what type of risk we are actually, because as this is a conservative portfolio, I would not like to have risk more than, a VAR more than 40 or 35. So is it solving the, problem which I was looking for, is a question for me. So I can just, type in 99 and see that is it solving the problem? No, it isn't, right? So you can take a call based on that if my VAR is less than 40, then it is considered to be a conservative. It is less than, 50, then moderate, or less than 60, then, highly risky. So that is all your call as to what you name this portfolio as it is. This can also be considered as a risky portfolio for several advisors. So I'm just talking about equities here, just on the sense of equities. You could, choose such funds which is lower volatile based on rolling analysis and based on risk versus return, and look for, standard deviation as well, and the VAR, and then take a call as to, if this particular portfolio is suitable for the client or not. There are several things to be considered here, is as one is the asset allocation, as to, we might want to know what is the particular equity sectors we are having. So you can see this is the generalized, asset allocation altogether. Banking, IT and finance and pharmaceuticals all together allocated, fairly into this, section. And one thing for sure here is you can also look for concentration, because our top 3 securities shouldn't be too much concentrated. So that's how, we have 50% large cap, we have 24% mid cap, and 15% small cap. And that's how we can look in towards the capitalization of the entire portfolio. And this is the breakdown of, our portfolio altogether. So in this equity domain, that is what our conservative portfolio would look like. It might change according to your preference, based on the analysis and the uh, fund selection you have done into the compare section as to what is conservative for you. The idea here is, once you have made the portfolio, right, you can improve this portfolio. To improve the portfolio, you just have to click on that particular button, and a mathematical model will show you 6 sets of models, which will show you that this is the original allocation, which is an equal weightage allocation, and this is how you can improve your model portfolio if you allocate them in a different set of securities. So if you allocate Mirai tax saver as 33.11%, you would have better returns altogether. Now here, the volatility is being same, as you can see, but the returns are increased. So the allocation, the asset allocation, will definitely affect the portfolio performance, right? If and let's say we are looking for the lowest vol portfolio, we can go for a min vol rank. Even then we are having a better returns against an original portfolio with an equal weightages, and even a Sharpe ratio is increased. So if I save this portfolio, the highest allocation given to the fund is Parag Parekh Flexi Cap. That's how you can see that one of the, even in rolling analysis, Parag Parekh, Axis, where the funds, Axis small cap, Axis mid cap, where the funds which were having a low rolling wall against against a 260 day period. So that's how you can save this up as a ranking model, and you can create this portfolio. Now, one thing for sure is that it doesn't mean that you have to choose only ranking model. There is a value model as well. So let me explain this. Ranking model is based on the mathematical modeling of the rank of the funds based on return, min vol, and Sharpe. Basically, if the fund is contributing highly towards the portfolio in returns, that fund will have the highest allocation, and that will be concentrated. In the value model, it takes the return as it is and rescales to 100. So you can see that the allocation in Mirai asset in return value is the highest, but it is fairly balanced out. So if you're going towards a balanced approach towards a portfolio, you can rather go for a return value or a Sharpe value, or even a min vol, to be in the sense that if you want to compare it with the original. But in this sense, if we look for min vol value, it's not solving those issues, like a return is not increasing as much as the risk, and even the risk is not reducing that much. So we could rather go for some portfolio which is having a lesser risk and higher return. As a sense, you can see the Sharpe value, which is having a lower volatility against an original, but a higher annual return. I can save this up and create this conservative model portfolio, and just onboard it into the system. Now, this will require some rigorous, permutations and combinations from your side by using the tool. And then you can compare model portfolios with certain clients' portfolio to see if that is making sense or not. Let's say you have already an existing client who is also holding 50% in large cap, 40% in mid cap, and 30% and 10% in small caps, and you would like to suggest an entirely equity focused conservative portfolio to your client. So, what you can do is you can just add in the prospective client here. I'm just adding one of the client here, right? Once you have added that, right, you can just compare the prospective client with your own, model portfolio. To compare that, I can just, compare it from my own model portfolio. So let me just see where I've added that model portfolio. Yeah, this one. So as you can see, this is what I've added. So, I've just, for the recognition, I've added 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you load this up, right, you see the outperformance against any client. If you see the outperformance, that means the process you have taken is actually working out pretty well. If it is not working out, many of times when based on quantitative analysis, you might create such a portfolio which is underperforming against a client. So you should actually take 2 to 3 permutations and combinations and actually compare it with the client's portfolio to see if it is making sense or not. And in this case, you can see my annual return is actually increased. Definitely my volatility is also increased against the client portfolio, but the risk I'm taking to get better returns is actually lesser because my Sharpe ratio is higher. So that's how you can actually make model portfolios. You can compare them with clients portfolios altogether. You can see that even our allocations are actually different. You can see this is what our allocations are, and you can also see the exposure. So this is what I'm showing you, the comparisons of exposures, and then we have rolling return comparison. So based on that, basically for a 6-month period, our volatility is fairly higher than the client's portfolio, but we are having a better average returns altogether, more than 2%, and even in here more than 3% for a 1-year period. So that's how you can take a call. And then we have drawdowns as well, whereas you can see that we have a very similar drawdowns. You can see many of the times our recovery period is actually higher than the, as an example, you can see for 2018 our recovery was higher, was actually lower than this particular portfolio. Yes, we might not beat this portfolio in every parameter, but based on many performances, we can actually see that we have beaten this portfolio fairly easily. And you can also have your own custom start date, not just from one particular start date, but you can, let's say you choose for a criteria of 2017, right? You click go and you see from that particular start date what is the actual scenario, and still we do have an outperformance from this particular start date. And that's how this works out for the comparison of any portfolios. So that's how this works out. You can also add in, as a matter of fact, I've actually added some of the more model portfolios to test this out. And you can actually add your more strategies to check if that is making sense against a client or not, right? Now here is one more important thing. If you have the model portfolios in your place, right, if you have multiple model portfolios, you can save those model portfolios and client portfolios as a custom security. If you save this as a custom security, you get an ability to compare a client with multiple model portfolios. And it's very, very huge as if you want to check. Let's say I want to save this model portfolio as a custom security. What I can do is I can just type in this, right? And to save this in system, in as a custom security, all I have to do is click on the price series, download price series here. So this is the beauty of the platform here, is that we have transparently given price series download even for funds portfolios. So whenever you need a price series, you can just do your own customized analysis in Excel. So here you just click on it and you just open this up and copy this price series in Excel altogether. So let me just show you the Excel here. I hope the Excel screen is visible to everyone. Okay. So accordingly, you can just copy this price series. You don't need the return set. So you just delete this. You copy this price series and paste it into our custom securities section. To paste it in the system, you just have to paste it, Control V. It's pasted, and you can add a name to it. So let's say we add this conservative, right? I'm just adding a random name. I click as an equity. I validate the input, and my custom, a custom security as a conservative strategy is added into the system. I save this up. So this is very, very useful, because now you have the ability to compare this all custom securities in one place into the compare section. Now this gives you lots of analysis. You can actually fairly check how the client portfolio is performing against your own model portfolios, or either your model portfolios are making sense or not. Let's try this up. Let's try, if I add those model portfolios here, right? Let's try this one of the this one and this one. Just a moment, and let's try this one as well. and there's another method IF. So we have added four of the customized securities into the system, and let's add in one of the prospective client as well. So to adding a prospective client, the same process what you have added, how you have added your model portfolios, you can add them into the system. Once you have done that, you can actually do lots of analysis, even a rolling analysis on your own strategies. Now this is so important because you have actually determined your conservative strategy is is not as conservative as as you have thought, because your moderate strategy is actually more very close to a conservative strategy. And here you can actually take a call that one of the moderate strategy you have is actually riskier than the risky strategy. So that's how you can actually take a call on. And you can even see that if I look towards risk versus return, right, this is where your prospective client is underlying. And that's how you can actually compare a client's portfolio against your own strategies, against any non-standard asset classes altogether, to check if if this is actually making sense or not. So if you're suggesting a strategy, let's say a conservative strategy, definitely you're giving more returns than a client prospective client. And this is not just for one singular date. You can backtest for every single day. You just have to backtest and check multiple times if it is making sense or not, right? So this is how you can take a call in many singular strategy analysis here. And even you can go for point to point analysis and see that how many of the portfolios have fallen from the last couple of months. So let's say we just had from January till May 31st, right? Which of the portfolio has fallen most? And that is the client's portfolio which has fallen the most. So this is where you come in and you take a call on to the client's portfolio as to what should be the appropriate model portfolio for a prospective client. And there are many other analysis what you can do in making model portfolios. So we can just review this up. You can we recommend you to save the list, right? So you do not have to screen it again and again. That is one thing. If you save the list, that will help you to make multiple model portfolios based on many asset classes. We have given you an example of equity funds only, but you can also do it for some hybrid funds, and try this up. You can add in more asset classes, FOFs, even commodities, ETFs. You can add that up into the into the screener and add them into the compare and start making multiple model portfolios into the portfolio section. So I do have one of my own folders, and I recommend you to have multiple folders for multiple portfolios, so that you can start analyzing. So that is it for today's session. If you have any questions, we can start with a question. But before going ahead with a question, we also have a client link which we have couple of weeks before we have released. So this client links helps you to send even model portfolios to your client, helps you out in a very it's very seamless, it's very fast. All you have to do is generate random pin. You just have to type in the phone number of a client, any phone number works out. And then the client will view this particular model portfolio, conservative model portfolio, in his phone itself. So he can compare the analytics and see if it is beating the Nifty TRI, and lots of stuffs and analytics a client can view in one single shot. And he can also connect with you that let's go ahead with it, right? And you will receive a mail on your own email altogether. And that's how this works out. And if you want to send it to the client, there is another way to manage those client link. So if you have any client link here, all you have to do is you just have to click on this message button, and this will be displayed to the client. The name will not be NGEN Research, it will be your login name, and that's how it will be displayed to the client portfolio, to the client, this client portfolio to the client. And you can send this up to the client. Any phone number works out, basically a mobile number that works out, which has an ability to receive text messages. And that's how the client link is all about. So let's start with the Q&A. Thank you so much. Let's start with the Q&A, and we can, please shoot your questions all together. Any questions?
Hi, Pramod here.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Yeah, I have posted a message in direct message. See, my query is once we create a model portfolio and we copy data from Excel and use it as a custom security, will the custom security be updated on a regular basis because it is created from the old data from the Excel sheet, right?
Yeah, hi, this is Arunab. So at this point, it is not updated. You will have to update it manually. This is something we've thought about, and as usage is increasing on especially on our portfolio sections, we are working on a way to basically, give you the functionality of having portfolio backtests run automatically and update automatically. Currently, when you save the portfolio, as Umesh just did, the portfolio NAV up to last night is going to get saved, and that update has to be done manually. So, as usage increases, we will create methods where your portfolios can just simply be, your portfolio backtest returns can simply be added into the compare section directly without having to do any of this.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's a question on the chat saying, can we upload NSDL CAS? Yes, you can. We have a section here where you can upload an NSDL file. So this is, you can just click on that link, NSDL CAS PDF. So we had released a beta version of this. There are some kind of files in some particular formats that has some trouble. Generally speaking, we don't have that many issues. But I'll also let you know that we are working on a slightly more improved version of this. But again, 9 out of 10 files are going through fine. So you can feel free to just put your password in, and also the password. Neither the password nor the file will even be sent to NGEN, so you don't have to worry about data security here. You can upload the file, change the name before you save it, and none of this information will even reach our servers. It's all opened and dealt with on the client side. It doesn't come to the server.
Are there any other questions? Sure. So I think there aren't any other questions. Yes, we have got one of the message from Mr. Karthik Dadia. Yes, there is a requirement of practice in this because it's a rigorous process. We would definitely assist you. Please connect with us on support@engineresearch.com. And we are also rigorously adding the training session in the demos and training on our YouTube channel. So please visit our channel, maybe click the bell button to, to be notified as to, if the videos are added, because the previous webinar we had some request about when it's gonna add. So it normally gets add after within 2 working days after the webinar gets completed. So that is one thing. And please be updated. We are actually also adding the updates in on Twitter of NGEN Markets. So you can check the updates from here, and definitely follow up with the updates in the system itself. So I hope there are no questions from your side. So we are wrapping this session. So thank you so much, everyone. We will meet again next week, tentatively same time, Friday 4 o'clock, and then we will have another topic altogether. And if you have any questions, do ask us on that session altogether. So thank you so much. Have a nice weekend.